Even the fucking bonehead hasn't done this content yet. So we're going hot, we're going live, right? So we're going to talk up the stuff that happened today as if it's actual news. We're going to be ahead of everyone. Right. Where's that button? So, good evening, everyone, and welcome to One World, One Blood Bowl number 69. Giggity. It's been a hot week. It's like someone in the Blood Bowl world has got hold of our number and is drunk dialing us. They just won't let us go. It's almost like they want our money or something, but they keep telling us all sorts of exciting things. So I thought, after two very, very calm, lovely episodes with nice people talking their gentle tales about their experiences within Blood Bowl, I should bring on three opinionated hotheads and discuss the news with some wild speculation and conjecture. Yay! The sky is falling. Blood Bowl is doomed. It is over. It's officially done. It is dead. Season 2 is going to cease to be really, really soon. Indeed, this is, as we record this, Sunday the 26th of October. And this very day, about 3 hours ago, some news dropped. We're expecting pre-orders to happen this week for Season 3. So that's why the new stars of Season 3 have been all over Facebook like a Kardashian with a butt lift. And we have had news being dripped out to tantalise us and excite us all week. We've had all sorts of really not very interesting news about Kemry. We've had some news about Brett's. The Berts are back and they look, according to some, completely overpowered or incredibly, incredibly bad or, oh, they're going to dominate. Which is great, as the best we know on any of them is half of the stats. We don't know any of the prices, and we don't know about everything else in the rule set. So we can definitely compare and come to some solid conclusions on those, and we will definitely do so. But the big news was perhaps the first one that dropped this week, which was an interview with the game designer, and he said some batshit mental stuff, and everyone lost their shit and is still losing it. So that's brilliant. We're going to talk about that, absolutely. I've got three people with me. They're three people, as I said, with loud opinions. I've absolutely had loads of people volunteering for this. So I've picked what I think is a bunch of opinionated people within Blood Bowl, as I can sort of think of. We can represent just about everything here. Firstly, to the side of me, if you're watching on the video, or the next one to speak if you're listening. I'm thrilled to welcome my old mucker, old friend, and old podcast co-host. Sean Morehouse joins us all the way from Murica. Hey, Sean, lovely to see you on the camera. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Now, one of the reasons I wanted you on, I've wanted you on the show for ages anyway, is you fill all sorts of roles here for me. You know loads about Fumble. You are an incredible rule set breaker. I think of you as someone that really likes to pull them apart and find where the exploits might be and how you can gain an unfair advantage over everybody else just by being smarter. And you
Mhm.
also enjoy really fast, aggressive Blood Bowl, but quite uniquely both with elves and bash teams. You're pretty bidextrous when it comes to how you like to attack people.
Yeah,
You just like to be up
that's
in their
true.
faces. Yeah?
Yeah, I think so. I I kind of think when I'm playing a bash team, I like to, the way I go for the ball with an elf team is the way I'm going for your best player when I've got orcs. Trying to attack your team rather than attack the ball. But yeah, I think I like to play aggressively and keep the pace moving of the game. I don't like a 1-1 tie. I like something to happen. So yeah, that's fair.
And it's fair to say you've had a load of success in Blood Bowl. You consider yourself a good Blood Bowler. I think that's quite modest. You would say more, wouldn't you?
I'm not as good as I used to be. I don't play every day, and when I was really playing a lot, I would go back and like analyze my games and really focus. And I don't do that anymore. But I'm still better than the average player. I think that's pretty safe to say. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also have another sort of chair you're sitting in, of the multiple hats I've put on all of you this evening, is sort of returning to Blood Bowl. You had a break for various reasons.
Mhm.
You've been dipping your toe back in lately, playing a sort of hybrid of some of the old rules you just can't let go of, and some of the new
Yeah.
ones to get used to them and trying the new races out. Um,
Mhm.
is it fair to say that if I'm asking if this sort of grabs you and really gets you back into it, that would be a fair place to be looking at another chair for you to wear?
Yeah. I took it not as quite as clean of a break during like the claw palm era, and then
Hmm.
came back in 16. So yeah, if if I like what I see in the rules when they come out, that would help. It can't
Okay.
hurt. Yeah.
And at the other end of the spectrum, we have the highly involved Christopher B. Christopher Bengtsson joins us this evening, all the way from Scandinavia, which, as we all know, is just one country. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hi, I'm good, PC. Thanks for having me back. Yeah, I'm here for the BB3 part, the arena stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you invented Arena. You brought NAF to the world. Only several
Yeah.
years after K-Fold had done it on Blood Bowl 2, and Fumble, of course, had been doing it for years successfully and continued to do so. But you are the one person who said to the people in the electronic world, here is NAF style, please play it, for Blood Bowl 3.
Yeah.
And still running Morg Bowl, though Morg himself obviously has stepped away from Blood Bowl for who knows how long. But it's now happening through the Hydrovision Discord site.
Yep. It's the old Discord vanished with Morg,
Yep.
and we just moved everything over to my Discord instead. But it's currently open for registration, and I'm sure you'll put the link in the
The
show
link will
notes.
be in all the descriptions of this. Anything you want me to link from all of you, I will
And
always
it's
do.
like for those who want an extra carrot, there's a ticket or tickets to the next World Championship. So they
Yeah,
haven't been
which
announced yet, but some we will get something because currently our representative in the World Championship is Jimmy, who won it.
yes,
So yep,
absolutely. So and he's obviously doing very well at the moment. He's in the group stage. Um, and that's one of the reasons why the live viewership of this show is a little light. Is at the moment there is an enormous amount of Blood Bowl 3 World Championship content out there. So if you enjoy that, I'm sure lots of it's going on YouTube as well as live on Twitch. So it's fair to say that you're very heavily involved in modern Blood Bowl and particularly in the Blood Bowl 3 aspects of that. But also I've got another hat for you to wear, which is someone that's played Blood Bowl since the dawn of time itself. I believe Jervis Johnson first explained Blood Bowl to you using sticks and grass. Is that true?
well, I'm not gonna say, but maybe. No, like I'm not really that old. I missed first edition, but I've been involved since second edition.
So
Like a
yeah,
lot, and then a few years without nothing, and then I'm back. So
absolutely.
yeah.
So that's again in contrast. We can move to someone who back when you and I were first enjoying Blood Bowl, his mother was gaily single and thinking, "Oh no, I wouldn't let men do that to me." And now he is a human, a being, a grown-up playing Blood Bowl himself. It's Keithabix. Hello, Keithabix.
Good evening, PC. Thanks for having me.
Smashing young man that you are. I believe you've recently seized control of Team Island.
Yes, seized. Through democratic means, of course.
The only way that power should ever be sought. So I've got you here with the tabletopper hat on. Is that fair of me?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I quite enjoy tabletop. I'm at a tournament nearly every weekend. Something like 24, 25 a year. When I'm not dropping out of the occasional one or two for other reasons. But yeah, love tabletop, love Blood Bowl. I mean, I also do some online stuff, Blood Bowl 3, but you know, I don't like to talk about
Well,
Blood
yeah,
Bowl
I mean that
3.
again. No one has one hat here tonight, and your other one is Blood Bowl 3 streamer, isn't it? You're a content provider to the greedy masses.
I am, yeah. I stream sometimes. This week was really fun actually. It's like every time I streamed, it's like the new Warhammer community release came out. And I was like, oh, let's take a stop and have a look. What have they ruined this time, or what have they really made interesting? So, yeah, I like streaming. It's good fun.
And it's
Nice
I
to
would
give
say
back.
happened at a beautiful time because at a time where we were all very worried. I described myself as afeared, nervous. I was losing sleep over whether we were losing you to the world of 3D supermarket simulation streaming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, when I'm not streaming Blood Bowl 3, I do love to play my supermarket simulator. It's a lot more enjoyable than Blood Bowl 3, funnily enough.
Yeah, it really isn't. I tried to watch you do it. I mean, that's quite funny. There's an inherent comedy to that, but I didn't see the appeal, even over Blood Bowl 3, which at times can be hard to love. Yeah, I have a brand new, my beautiful X1 mic is ready to go, but I've just had again the news dropping in a very busy week, so I haven't had time to run it in and to be ensured that it would be on a level with the other people. So I've done the best I can to ensure that the sound is decent. If I'm a little quiet, I do beg your pardon. Um, all I can do is suggest I can turn them down ever so slightly, and then you can boost the entire stream slightly, and that might compensate. Um, but in the pre-show sound checks that we did, things were okay. So I'm going to drop all of them to 80%, and that should mean there's obviously room to gain me up slightly, and for the entire stream to be a little more balanced. So really, I just tried to gather three people, most of whom you will have heard of before or should be aware of in the world, because I didn't want to spend too long on intros, and that's already 12 minutes of that, which is boring, and it's done. So hello, welcome to One World, One Blood Bowl number 69. Hurrah! Let's talk about the news. Give me your. Let's take a hot take. What is your first biggest one sentence take on the news that we've had this week? That's both the interview with the games designer, the news on Bretonians, on Khemri, and then of course today the news that pre-orders are coming this time, sometime within this week, and that's going to include both a box set and just obviously the rules book, which we all assumed would be there, but we hadn't had confirmed until today. What is your big hot take? Where are you in terms of this news, Keithabix? What's your take?
I'm really excited. I think Games Workshop have clearly seen that Blood Bowl is something they can continue to make money out of. Gnomes obviously sold really, really well. Vampires sold really well. Shorf sold really well, despite the Shorfs getting much worse. Their ability to sell models and sell star players is amazing. So they've clearly run with that idea, and they're like, okay, let's release a new box set, and I think it's really exciting. Couple of concerns, obviously, with some of the news coming out, but I think it's really good. I think it'll really help tabletoppers get a lot of new players in, I reckon.
Well, I mean,
Really
certainly every
exciting.
edition they've thrown out since the 2016 relaunch has, according to everyone I've talked to, has increased numbers at tournaments, increased numbers in leagues, just increased the interest, the visibility of Blood Bowl, and it's a jumping on point, isn't it? But it's even more of a jumping on point than say the last box set. Season 2, you got some new teams, you got everything you needed to start Blood Bowl, and there was a new set of rules, some of which were quite different, but it wasn't. Lots of the games stayed the same. Now this time, even more of the games staying the same, but they're going to throw all the teams up in the air and see where they land. So is that a way to actually get people thinking, well, now no one's going to know anything, so I can start from scratch too? Is this the ideal jumping on or jumping back on moment? Sean, what's your hot take on the news that we've heard this week?
Yeah, I mean, I don't play much tabletop, so the box and it looked cool to me, I guess. If I were someone that was a collector of that stuff, I thought everything looked nice. I'm more interested in what the team balance is going to look like with the different positionals and new skills and things like that. Some of the little I've seen seems interesting. Some of it seems concerning, but I guess we don't know that much yet, so we'll see once the rest of it comes out.
As I said, as in terms of a jumping in point, is that going to tempt you? Is this even if it's online? Because we've also heard that obviously Fumble, I'm certain, will change over pretty much within a couple of
Yeah,
weeks of the
pretty soon.
rules coming out. And in terms of the book, we know that's coming as well as the box set, so everyone can get it if they wish. Tournaments already talking about January as at the latest when they might start running this on tabletop. Blood Bowl 3 is talking about at some point in 2026 moving over to calling itself Warhammer Blood Bowl, and that being sort of the Season 3 relaunch of the game. Some people have said it so they get better Steam reviews and can sort of move away from the ones for Blood Bowl 3, but I'm sure it's all just about branding. So is this going to make you want to come back in, the idea that everyone's going to start from scratch, including you?
Probably no. I guess it doesn't turn me off terribly. When I jump back in, I go to my comfort food first, right? So I want to play a wood elf team, I want to play an orc team, and the things I like. And I'm a little concerned, especially with the orcs, obviously, that what are they going to be, just kind of a joke team now that's no good? Are they going to be like tier 3? Are they going to give them some totally different thing to try to make up for losing positionals? Are they going to redo the box and you're going to get the blitzers in?
Okay, well let's before we go to each individual race, because I want to talk about the
Yeah.
problem ones. And
Sure,
we'll deal with the
sure.
big news first, and then we'll look at the problem races first.
Sure.
Let's bring in just Kristofer's hot take, and then we'll move to those problem areas. Kristofer, what's your hot take on the whole news cycle we've had this week?
Thank God.
Sorry,
That's the best part. Thank God we lost 2 gut runners for this game.
Yes, so
Uh,
we can all
that's
dance on the
the
grave of Skaven.
exactly. And then I think the other one, if we have to have like a more, I think they've actually looked at star players and tried to actually tune them because we saw Cindy had doubled in price, and that looks
Mhm.
amazing
Yeah.
because we want to avoid star players deciding the game, and it makes people not going to play stunties as star caddies.
Or, I mean, perhaps with star caddies that they're suited to having, like, your Rodney
Yeah,
Roachbakes and
yeah.
your,
Like
your
you couldn't have
Pudgies.
Griff anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because Griff is no longer Halfling, whatever it's called,
So
Symbol
it
Cup.
would seem. I actually had a Griff Halfling team yesterday at a tournament known for its
Yeah,
star
you're
abuse.
such a power player.
Um, I wanted to do it once before it was done. I had heard this might be happening, so it went very, very badly wrong. You'll be pleased to hear. He got hit once and died, and failed once and died. And so in the 3 games, he died twice, having been had 2 attempts on him, both killed him instantly. Karma's a bitch sometimes. Okay, I mean, I'm sort of excited about this. I'm also a bit bewildered by the mass panic that I've seen over Reddit and Facebook. And then I think about where I've seen it, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not surprised at all. But there is quite a lot of upset people out there, isn't there? So let's have a look at the news, talk about it, and see if we can work out why they're upset and are they right. Um, so I guess the big news that came out of the Tuesday release wasn't any of the sort of details about some of the sexy new skills and things. It was the little tidbit that said Blood Bowl is a worked out game, so we're going to change all the teams so that no one knows
Yeah.
anything and you can all basically start again. Um,
Mm.
am I missing? Am I overstating that? Everyone cool with that's what was said?
Oh yeah, that was what they tried to tell us. Yes.
And as part of that, what is in the box is what you will now coach as a Blood Bowl team. So if you buy a box of Blood Bowl figures, that will be the team that you will coach. There has been some clarifications over this from people like the Blood Bowl 3 Discord because they had the rules leaked to them a while ago so they could start preparing. And it means exactly what you think it means. It means humans will drop to 2 catchers and 2 blitzers available. Orcs will have 2 big uns and 2 blitzers. Presumably Nurgle will only have 2 pestigores, corn to cornigores, I guess they are. Um, and others. I mean, Skaven, as we've already hinted, lose 2 gutter runners. Um, but then we also hear there's going to be compensation. The teams are going to get new things coming in. So, what are we feeling about that, Keith? Are you well? Let's start with the orcs. I said we'd start with orcs. Let's start with orcs. Do we? I mean, I've heard taunt maybe on the big uns. They'll sort it out, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really an orc coach, and I famously hate playing against orcs. So, much like the Skaven losing 2 gutter runners, I don't really care. But I have a sneaking feeling that probably just release another box with them changed, right? The spruce gets changed, and they get the 4 big uns and the 4 blitzers is probably the most likely thing. The last orc box came out like what 9 years ago, and they
Yeah.
have to sell more. They have to sell more models. They can't just keep releasing the same teams, or they could. But realistically, anything released in the last 3 or 4 years aren't getting re-released, are they?
I,
So
I wouldn't have thought
probably,
so, no. But most of the modern
yeah,
teams, I mean, your Amazons, your Norse, what's in the box is what you coach on the pitch. They have said you may still need to add a big guy, so Forge World can still keep charging, huge amounts of money for small amounts of either plastic or metal. Um, but yeah, pretty much, I think most of the modern teams will stay the same. But some of the older teams, I mean, Kristofer, do you think we're going to get new humans and new orcs, or do you think we're just going to have to adjust to a world where they get 2 and 2 now?
No, it costs them too much to make new spruce. It's like the spruce the cost, and then the plastic is basically nothing. So I think this is a change they've decided long ago with the new teams like that. When they changed the graphics right from the 2020 to the red and blue, and been a decision. You play what you get in the team, and they would eventually get there with the rules. And now we're there. And my main issue here is like this is tying the designer's hand behind their backs because you remove design space. So there are 2 different things. Like the game itself can probably be fine because they can design around it. However, what you're doing is you're limiting yourself like before you even got into the stage where you're going to do the fine adjusting. And I'm coming to this from my own experience as a game designer and a playtester because I do work freelance for board gaming companies. And like a lot of times when you do the game right, you start with both the rules and all the physical components. And somewhere down the line, you have a line like now we have to make some of the components, like the dice, the plastic figures, the board and stuff that aren't easily done. And then the rules and the cards and the texts can be tweaked. But then you get to a stage where we would like to change the face of the die. But the die has already been manufactured. You can't fix the problem in the game because of a decision you made
already
before.
taken. Yeah, I
Yeah.
I get that, but
And
does
that's
that
kind of where we're
necessarily
at.
mean bad design? I mean,
Nope,
sprue-based design
absolutely
has
not.
been a thing for a while.
It can be
And
it doesn't have to mean bad.
obviously,
but
one
it means
tension on any
you've
rule set
limited
is the
it.
game's designer, and I'm sure every game's designer wants to design a beautiful game.
Yeah,
But another
I
set of
have a
tension
real
is
life experience
profitability, isn't it?
without mentioning the name, right? Because like we had a game, we tested it, and we had combat, and combat was slightly not good enough. It took too long, and then you tweaked other stuff, and it didn't help. And we came up with the best solution would have been if the faces of a die would have been changed. It would have just changed the odds in a way that you couldn't do with just changing the rules, but it was not an option. You had to go with it. Like, and it's kind of you could end up with Blood Bowl in this way. So it doesn't have to be bad, because if they just nail the decisions and the design of the rules anyway, it doesn't matter. How do you compensate for losing to Movement 9 insanity pieces without making them either too bad or too good? That's the designer's problem now.
Well, I mean, I don't think too bad or too good really bothers anyone, because that can be sorted out through either tiering in tournaments or through
Yes.
errata and buffs that come in, in 6 months to a year time once
Yeah,
we have some data.
that's the GW process, right?
Well, I mean, yes, it is, but also the wheel
Into the
turns.
wall.
Just
And
because a
then they
different
fix
team stops being at the top and another one rises to the top doesn't mean that's bad.
Oh, no.
It just
No,
means
that's fine.
there's been change.
Yeah,
And if any team
absolutely.
is dropping, way above 55% Amazons, or
Yeah.
seriously below 45%, then perhaps there needs to be something done. And there is space
Except
for that to
goblins,
change.
they don't need to get any better.
No, goblins will obviously need a nerf.
Yep.
But I mean,
No,
rumours are
it doesn't have to
flying
be bad at
around.
all.
But I mean, I do hear goblins, by the way, might lose the 3+ loner on trolls, and about time they do, because I'm just tired of goblins getting hit every time this changes.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be bad at all. It just means you've taken away one way to change something. So it
I
might
mean,
work.
a friend of mine and a friend of the show, Hef, who's been on before, the lovely Bob, coaches his orcs and has always only ever used 2 big uns, and he does use the 4 blitzers, but he's always called that speed orcs. He thinks big uns are a little overpriced, which strength pieces often do feel that way. And particularly if the goblins, if they don't disappear from orcs, and again, it's all rumour, we don't know much facts, but if they stay, then I think orcs are still going to be incredibly viable, aren't they?
I think all of
Particularly
them,
with
because
Taunt on the big uns.
I mean, I think a lot of line notes will see starting skills, because they've invited a lot of invented a lot of new skills, right? And I think most of those will actually be on some pieces, because they're not just going to be optional, right? You can have them. I think they're going to be on, so we play them and see what they actually do, because otherwise some of them will never be taken, right? As Cloudburster. So I think a lot of linemen will see skills, which means like if we take the new boxes like Amazons, like Norse, they come with skills. It's just the thralls
Yeah,
that
I
don't
mean,
get
I've
anything.
I've heard this dropped around before. Sean, do you buying into that we're going to get more skills on the lineman theory?
Well, you might have to if you're going to force people to play with 6 of them or whatever. You know what I mean? If you're going to make people use more of them, you might have to make them do something. I mean, like the example of orcs, it, if you take away 2 big uns and 2 blitzers, the amount you would have to add to get them back to as good as they were is a lot. Now you don't have to get them back to as good as they were. Maybe people think orcs were too good and they can be nerfed, and that's fine. I'm not. I think because orcs are such a popular like IP for the Warhammer
Yeah.
people in general, right? Like they don't want orcs to be a team nobody buys and nobody uses. That really doesn't make sense for like any of their games. So if you're telling me right off the bat you're going to hit them with this huge nerf, I gotta imagine something big is coming back in the other direction, and maybe some good skill on the lineman or something could be part of that. Yeah.
I mean, look, I see both sides of this. I mean, I do think I mean, in the sort of linemen get more skills proof area, we do hear that zombies, for example, might be getting a skill, possibly eye gouge. Um, so maybe we are going to see a world where all linemen have skills now. But on the other hand, Amazons and Norse linemen already always had skills. And to make up for that skill, they had an armor drop from a human lineman. Which is also why I think Bretonian with Wrestle will all have a V8 plus as well. I don't think they can possibly be 9 plus. So there is a trade-off. You get a skill, you lose something somewhere else. Um, I wonder if we might not just see better positionals. Because, I mean, I also hear that humans, who are going to be just as boned as orcs, aren't they, if they go down to 2 blitzers and 2 catchers? I mean, at that point, why would you take them over Old World Alliance? And that way you're trading, to go to
Right.
Old World Alliance, you're trading 1 blitzer, 1 catcher and 1 thrower for 5 dwarves. That seems like a great deal to me. So yeah, I think humans, as I hear it, might be getting tackle on their blitzers, and probably something else as well. But certainly tackle on the blitzers. Would tackle orc blitzers and taunt biggins, would that make up for losing 2 biggins?
For me, I mean, I've played orcs all. I mean, that was the
A
first team
lot,
I ever
yes.
played. I've won majors with orcs, so I've got a lot of orc experience. The, I, you could turn the throwers into war dancers, and they would still suck with 2 blitzers and 2 biggins. That is a huge nerf. Okay, so now you can make it work, right? People play all lineman teams, and if you're better than the other player, you can still win. So it's not like, oh, it's impossible to play them now. But
Yeah.
but if you're trying to say like, what could you do to them to make me as excited to like build up in a league and play a higher team value orc team if I only get 2 biggins and 2 blitzers? No, adding 1 skill on the ones I already have is not even like we're not even in a conversation right now. Like it would have to be
some sort of sneaky one of these devious skills, because we also
now.
that's one of the things we've heard is
Right.
that there'll be a devious
Yep.
skill category
Yep.
with.
So I have this is a total something that came to my mind, right? Like now if you did something with the devious skills where like say what if for example if pile driver went back to like how old piling on was. So it's like a really strong removal skill.
Yeah.
And then orcs can get it but dwarves can't and other bash teams can't. Okay, may you know what I mean?
So
Maybe
perhaps
like
it can only stack therefore with Mighty Blow, not with Claw. I mean,
or something,
Yeah.
right? Like something with the skills that get, or the if the devious skills aren't accessible, maybe a lot of teams can't get dirty player or sneaky get it all, but orcs can get both on normal rolls.
Yeah,
like that. Okay, like maybe then we would start talking.
Yeah.
But
Just
yeah,
butt in.
it's gonna.
You're gonna get that Kutiga goblins.
Yeah.
Right, but then you've got goblins on the pitch, right? So that they're getting killed, and you're already a slow team. Now you're a slower team than you used to be, and now you're an outnumbered slower team. But yeah, I mean, we'll see.
I mean, I kind of think that. I mean, I've always loved running goblins on an orc team, much to the horror of
Yeah.
lots of other coaches. But
I use them.
I think Black Orcs have kind of stolen that niche. That if you want to run some big, heavy stuff with some goblins running around, you've got an entire team built for it now.
Right.
And maybe Black Orcs is perhaps the way to get that done. So Orcs are in trouble. I think that's certainly true. I mean, plenty of teams aren't. I mean, for example, Chaos, what comes in the box is more or less what you'd want to put on the pitch. You've got 12. At a big guy, you've got 13 players to choose from to build your roster. So lots of people have said, oh, you need a second box. There are some races you might need second boxes still. But I think this is still a hell of a good move in terms of just affordability for people, isn't it, Keith? You're one of those people that has to. You're young, so presumably you can't be rich. Don't disavow me. Young people aren't allowed to be rich. Isn't this a good move? The idea of going to what's in the box is what you need. Can't you sell young people that, oh, just buy this one box and paint it, and then you can come and play Blood Bowl? Isn't this all good news?
Yeah, like it's great for new people getting into the game. It's one of the things, if you take, like, I don't play anything else besides Blood Bowl, right? But one of the things everyone tries to sell me on is Kill Team. And it's like, oh, you can get into Kill Team because you just buy one box and you have, I don't even know how many players in it, 5, 10 in the box of Kill Team, and then that's all you need to do is paint them up and you can play a game. So it makes total sense that if you sell a Blood Bowl team, that's all you need, right? The amount of times people buy, I mean, I'll say it, the old Dark Elf box, right? And you don't have enough players in it
Yeah.
to build your NAF tournament roster or even to take your league. Like, I suppose that's where we like to think of Blood Bowl as a NAF style tabletop. But especially when you're talking about the Skaven there, how like, oh, we can just fix them by different tiering. But if you're taking them in a league, you can't fix Skaven by tiering them, can you? Because you can't just give them extra skills
No, but
to
for the
fix them
lack
well.
of players, they'll have more bonuses because gutter runners, which are really expensive, when you've got two less, all of that bonus money you can have. I mean, they were what, 85?
Yep.
So to
It's
replace
like
them with clan rats, you're saving 35 gold per gutter runner.
Wow.
Whoa.
So
Wow.
that's
That's
one
almost enough for
whole
another
extra
lineman that's
rat
useless.
and a couple of coaches.
Oh my goodness.
Or a re-roll. You can have a whole re-roll instead of those two.
What you got to understand when you're talking about gutter runners and people say like, well, you can win with 2 gutter runners. Yes, but the reason you need 4 gutter runners is because they get broken really
Yes,
easily,
when
and
I've
so you
killed
can
2,
end up
you've
with
still
2.
got 2 gutter
If
runners,
you're
yeah.
starting with 2, you will very soon have 0 gutter runners, and then you have an utterly useless team.
Now, I
Yeah,
did try and get a rat bastard on. Sorry, a rat lord on. Because much as I will be the first to pour the cocktails at the funeral of Skaven as we dance on their grave, and much as I do think they deserve to be turned into the worst team in Blood Bowl for at least one 4-year cycle until we get another set of rules, I would love that. I would really love that if they're the new Black Orcs or the new Ogres. That would make me chuckle in my heart. I put it to both Sol and to Crystal Hunter. I haven't had time to talk to ODL, although I did try. To well-known rat mains, and neither are as pessimistic as some of the Redditors. Both think they want to hear more about pricing, about the structure of other teams and things. Do we think Skaven are as doomed as people say? Because you've lost 2 gutters, but you've gained a point of movement on your 2 blitzers and strip ball. Now, I say drop break tackle on one of them, and you've got a cage breaker as good as a gutter, but it's strength 3 when it gets there, and it already has strip ball. How good is that? Surely Skaven will be fine. Sean, you've done some Skavening.
Okay, so I don't even know where to begin on that, but no. Giving strip ball and movement to a blitzer does not in any remote way. You could give strip ball to all the linos, the rat ogre, and everybody, and I still will take my gutter runners every time. Now, I understand it's different. I see some people in the chat talking about, oh, you'll take hack phlegm or whatever. So if you're talking about a tournament build or something, it's a totally different game in a sense, right? You get a good stars and you make it work out. In a league build, if you get up to, even what I don't even consider high team value from my era, but 1700 or whatever, and you're playing dwarves that have 8 mighty blow, or you're playing wood elves that have got 9 blodge, and you're walking in there with 2 gutter runners and no other AG 2-up pieces, you are gonna get smoked, man. Like
Okay, so
that's not a viable league roster unless they add a lot of other stuff to it.
So despite being very positive about some of the changes, you do think Skaven might be completely hosed.
Well, like the way I play, like higher team value league stuff,
Yeah.
that's just not a like when you tell me I'm taking away 2 of the strongest pieces in the game, probably for the money, the 2 like gutter runners are probably the best for the money piece in the game.
Yeah, I think that
and
might be
Skaven
true.
were already not overpowered. It's not like Skaven win every tournament or anything. So you're going to take away 2 of probably the best pieces in the game, and they're going to get plus movement and strip ball, which a lot of coaches wouldn't even take. Like if you rolled plus movement, you wouldn't even care about it. Like no, that's not making up for it. Unless again, it's a lot of other stuff coming in that we don't know about. Maybe we'll see. But.
Well, I mean, there might be. I mean, one of the things that did make me question is because I do think Skaven might be in big trouble after this. They may have to go the route of the Underworld, at which point, why don't you just do it with Underworld, who are now getting half as many of the good pieces that Rat's got, not a quarter of the gutter runners, half as many. That's now really close to as good. But does it mean they're going to have to resort to the same thing, just sniping, fouling, and trying to one-turn? Is that now the only way to play Rats? You can't be aggressive. I don't know. I do hope those I'm going to be right, and those move 8 blitzers are going to end up, pulling cages apart. But do Rats have enough fodder to do that and still keep 2 gutters and 2 blitzers alive doing all the work? That feels mighty thin to me. So much as I hate and abuse Rat coaches, you do have my sympathy. Until we hear more, we don't know. But Rats are in a tough place. I won't be starting any parties just yet. I did see Kristofer, though. I want to come back to you. while Keith was talking, I saw you. I think it was somewhat of a neural fit I saw you have when he mentioned Dark Elves and all being available in the box. Because there's a
Yeah.
factual inaccuracy there, Keith, in the example
I
you
mean,
chose. Of course, Dark Elves are still not going to be available in the box, are they?
nope, we will absolutely need assassins now. So,
There's a
yep.
sentence I never thought I would hear someone that loves Dark Elves saying.
And well, they get hit and run, so
Yeah.
they're basically not to include, right?
So the big news about Dark Elves is they are going to lose 2 blitzers because you only get 2 in the box. So you're going to get 2 blitzers, 2 runners, 2 witch elves, and 2 assassins. But the assassins are going to get super boosted in return, aren't they? So Kristofer, you're known for your Dark Elf play. Are you happy with what's happening with your Dark Elves?
No, because
No.
they live and die on bludgeon armor 9, right?
Yeah.
They can be aggressive. They can actually base stuff that normal elves would never do, and just like stand up, getting hit with 4 blitzers all the time. So yeah, no, I think like in League, I think they might actually be better because you can build the assassins up. You can give them bludge and dodge, or like block and tackle to bludge, right? But in NAF style, if they don't come with either dodge or block, and you can't stack, we just lose survivability. And I don't think hit and run, stab will, and 4+ shadowing will make up for that. But then again, maybe they get lower tiered, right, and stuff whenever we figure out the balance in between all the teams, right, in 3 years.
The devious skills could be something for them too, right? Like they could be the
Yeah,
one elf team that gets access to
exactly.
those. That would thematically kind of make sense.
Yeah,
If
because
those
the
elf
rules
teams-
say rules are beneath them, right? So they don't care
Right.
about the rules. So yeah, if there's one elf team that should have devious as a primary, maybe on assassins, right?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose the reason I'm not upset is I'm kind of getting what I've always wanted, possibly. So I've always said that Dark Elves have got too many blitzers. They should have 2 blitzers, 2 assassins, 2 witches, 2 runners, and that you need to slightly buff them somewhere to cope with the loss of 2
Yeah.
blitzers. Because look, I agree it's going to destroy the current Dark Elf playstyle. So
Yeah.
something else maybe fills that niche, but also they've always been the dirty tricks elves. And whilst I'm excited by putting witches on the pitch, I'm quite excited by the idea of having to work out how to do assassins as well. I think stab, hit, and run's going to be hilarious. I don't think it's going to be as good as some people think it is.
No, it's like
Um,
you have to make the assassin the ball carrier now, because we
Possibly.
hit and run, and the ball carrier is pretty good, as
You
we've seen on
forget
Amazon.
also that runners are now going to come with punt, a skill that could
Yeah.
be so good it's broken. So punt, all we've heard, and we have had this confirmed, is that by punting the ball, you'll be able to, in some way, move it forwards, possibly into the opposition's half, and it won't be the end of your turn. We know no more than that. But if
So
you can punt as a first action, if you can, drop your punter right way back, and then only when they come under pressure, you can punt as a first action, and still be able to move maybe 10 other elves afterwards. That feels very, very broken to me, or at least open to some interesting tactics.
Until you fail the first over the next action, right?
Well,
And the
yeah,
ball is behind the opponent's
but that's
team.
that's true with anything you do in
that could
Blood
happen.
Bowl.
Yeah, that could happen.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like it's one of those skills I don't think you want to use, but it might be nice to have, which tends not to be picked that much, right?
But I mean, isn't this creating some space? Because by dropping Dark Elves to 2 blitzers and the 2 of all the other positionals, as you said, they're not the armored elves anymore. You suddenly don't have 4 blodge blitzers you can put in people's faces and say, here's my wall of blodge you can't get through. So we're going to have to find other ways of doing things, trixier ways of doing things, ways that use more fun and interesting skills, maybe. And also, I mean, unfortunately, because of the box, pro elves are losing 2 catchers, wood elves are losing 2 catchers. But doesn't that leave a great space for high elves to come in, where they can be either the armored elves? And someone did say to me,
Or they
I
will
think
be.
it's just, I think I was asleep and it was a fevered dream. But someone did say they'd heard a rumour that high elves may come with 4 blitzers, which is what I always said should happen. They should be the armoured elves,
Yep.
and that dark elves should be the tricksy elves, pro elves should be the passing elves, and wood elves should be the elves with the tree and the 2
I mean, they
ridiculous
surely want
paradoxes.
everyone to buy their new Hive box, right? When it
Yeah,
drops
which I
next
think
year.
they will. So if they're the new dark elves, which sold like
Yeah.
hotcakes and everyone coached, if they play like the old dark elves, suddenly we'll all be high elf players, and everyone will be happy, and we'll have a more interesting set of elves. But
That's one that hasn't been released, right? So like that's one where that the box could be changed pretty like
Yeah,
dramatically because
yeah. They haven't even been redesigned for the 2020 rules.
right. So they have a lot of freedom to change high elves if they want to.
Yeah.
yes, but everything's going to be in the box, as Keith says, like Dark Elves, except everything's going to be in the box, Keith, except Dark Elves, where you're still going to need to find 2 assassins. So are Dark Elves hosed? I don't care, but I think they're going to be more interesting and more fun.
Yeah, I don't think that's yeah, I play a lot of Dark Elves too, and that one doesn't bother me as much because they almost had too many positionals before, like to where people like act like you don't even need. So, I again, I'm when you're playing up in high team value, I'll take them because I want all my players, but you don't really need what did they have now? 4, 5, 6, 7, like 10 position. You don't need 10 positionals on a Blood Bowl team, right? So I
Yeah,
don't think losing the 2 blitzers is a huge deal. And if they make it a little more thematic, where it's like we're going to encourage you to use the assassins, and then we're going to give you these devious skills that make you tricksy or something in a way that other elves aren't, I think that one could actually be interesting. I'm not pessimistic about that one.
yeah, Dark Elves could theoretically have fielded just 1 Dark Elf lineman, and the rest could all have been positionals, which I think
Right.
is quite a lot. Orcs, of
I think
course,
they've.
could have
Yeah, sorry.
fielded, um, well, I mean, 15 without needing a lineman because
Right.
they had 4 Bobs, 4 Big Uns, 4 Blitzers, 4 Goblins, a Troll, and 2 Mr. Throws. So that's 15 players before you need to put a single Orc lineman on the team. So is it kind of understandable that we're going to have more teams built around these linemen? And what does it mean for teams? Keith, do you think this is a positive change for the game as well as for people buying in?
I don't know. I think I like the idea of changing the Dark Elves. I think it makes sense. Especially if you get more like devious skills. Like imagine your Dark Elf assassin all of a sudden has the trickster trait as well. Like, whoa, the shenanigans that can happen there. Um,
Yeah.
like that could be really fun. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people, throwing out it's like, oh, we're just playing lineman bull. Um, like linemen are pretty good sometimes, but positionals tend to be quite, costly. And if they're going down the really big, keeping with redraft, then you don't mind, some shitter linemen, do you?
Well, I think
You get to
redraft's
keep
going to
your
stay.
positionals.
One big
Yeah.
rumor I've heard is that there might be some changes on the skill ups. That whilst you still might be able to roll random skills earlier, they will still cost the same TV. So you won't have that permanent discount for having got
So it's only
successful on the
the star
random
player
lottery.
points discount.
Yeah. So, if it's still 20 team value for whatever skill no matter how you've got that skill, or 40 for a secondary, no matter how you got that skill, I think that solves some of the brokenness. And still allows you to try for that early adrenaline hit. Because the one problem I've got is if we're going down to what's in the box, aren't even more teams going to be identical?
Yep.
Yep.
If you turn up a tournament and someone says, I've got Dark Elves, you'll go, oh, so I know how you've built those. You won't go, oh, have you done this, this, or this? It'll be, oh, you've got the Dark Elf. The
Yep.
Dark Elf build.
Yep.
Which, I
That's
mean,
gonna like the thing they put like how Blood Bowl's been solved. Yeah, it's gonna be solved instantly again, so it doesn't matter.
instantly, do you think so? I mean, there's tournaments in January I'm considering go to. Do you think by January
The
I should have worked it
tiering won't be
out?
solved, but like the building the best team, if you go nav style, it's gonna be instantly fixed because there's less positionals, right? So there's less options.
Yeah, I suppose.
But like the tiering
I
is
don't
gonna be
know.
the Wild West.
I've done a lot of roster reviews, and Blood Bowl definitely wasn't sorted. There's a lot of, decision making in Blood Bowl that isn't, optimal, right?
You're
Even
talking
at
about
high
picking
level.
renegades, right? Because like
Besides renegades, right? Just even on Dark Elves, even on orcs, even in the World Championship, there's a dodge OWA Troll Slayer. There was some
Hmm.
really questionable, skill choices. So I don't
So it's
think
been
we'll,
solved, but people made strange pigs anyway, is what you're saying.
yeah,
Yes.
it'll just be harder for people to make these picks.
I mean, when I
Yeah.
read that it was a solved rule set that needed shaking up to make it more exciting, I did think that's great. We should all have a new challenge, and I'm not frightened of change. But I did also think that's a load of old nonsense. It's not a solved rule set. Did we all agree with that, or did you think yes, this is
Yeah.
solved? Sean, you're the one the
Uh,
most outside it. Did it give you hope? That's a good thing that it's been solved and that they're changing it.
Uh, I mean, Blood Bowl will never be solved. I mean, like chess is not even technically solved, and that's a lot less complex than Blood Bowl, right? So people still do new things in chess, and that's been around for 500 years. And it's never changed. But uh, I the NAF version or the non-progressive version is kind of just by its nature more static, right? Like if you're at a low team value or non-progressive tournament, the teams are going to be more similar than if you're at like a high team value league. Uh, so yeah, I mean, I can't speak to if I know I've heard people who play a lot of that stuff say, oh, I always go and they've got every Dark Elf team has 6 Blodge and it's stupid and you can't beat them and blah blah blah. And so I know that that's a concern with people that at the non-progressive level it had gotten a little static. I've never felt it was that way at the progressive level. I mean, there's always, if you go through the years of like fumble majors and teams over 2 million team value that are winning these, like one does not look the same from the other. There's always decisions you can make and things like that. So
Yeah, and then there's personal preference in how you want to stack certain skills, where you see synergy, and how
yep.
your playstyle can be reflected in those skills. I do think down at the lower end we might see. I think the diversity might come more from the races than from the builds within races. That if we go to a
yeah, and from
position
the
where,
rule sets, right?
yeah,
The way to not get it solved at NAF style is by mixing up the rule sets.
yes, I mean I'm going to an event in a couple of weeks' time, which is a progression rule set. So you start with say 3 skills on a tier 1, then you get a couple more on game 2, and you get another one for game 3. So that's a different way of saying here's a different challenge that you haven't been thinking about for a while, because whilst those used to be very fashionable, they've completely gone out of fashion. And I kind of think whatever they do with the teams will end up in a world where the tournament organisers look at it and say, okay, how do we throw that out so that virtually everything can be fun to do? And I sort of trust that that set of guys are going to do it. Um, what I mean, they did say that what's in the box is what you're going to coach, but we've also heard that all the rosters are going to change. So, I mean, I'm one of my key fears, I suppose, is that Amazon's. Again, rumors, and so many of them have maybe something in the sales or perhaps nothing. But I do hear that dwarves might be losing tackle on the beards and gaining it on the blitzers, which I
Oh,
think I
I'm
think the
sorry, David.
community gets what the community wants there, and the community's wrong.
That's no, that's
But my fear is what then for the Amazons, who are already doing just fine, thank you. So if you take their biggest predator out, what's going to become of them? But we do hear change maybe coming all over the teams. The other one that lots of people are pointing at and saying, Lizardmen are going to do great out of this because less teams are going to have the strong pieces and they're going to be even more dominant in terms of their 6 very fast, very strong pieces. So from what we've seen so far, what's your biggest concerns moving forward? Kristofer, you've talked already about it being, that they've nailed themselves into a place where there's a lot less flexibility. Is there anything more specific in terms of the actual teams and the mechanics of the game other than that? That sort of design weakness they're building in?
I think probably it's kind of like what you said, like the ones that are in the new boxes already with less positionals. If they aren't adjusted accordingly with all the other ones, we will have Amazon Ball again, right? Because Amazons are already the best team, and we're making their predators weaker. We're making the elves weaker that can still run around them. We need to make Amazons more expensive. The blockers need to lose something and cost more and stuff like that. So there has to be a fairly um, well, they just have to be adjusted accordingly with like how chorfs were fixed.
Hmm.
Like chorfs were obviously, well, at least it seems like they were designed for maybe a future rule set and not so much the one they ended up in, right?
Yeah,
Um,
maybe. I don't know why Ironhard Skin is. I don't know. I don't know what they were doing with the Chorfs. I just thought it was an interesting build that came in quite underpowered for what they were sort of facing at the time. But perhaps they won't be changed and will suddenly look, really, really good in the new meta. Who knows?
but well,
Um,
Shadow and 4 plus.
yeah, I mean, Shadowy 4 Plus is interesting, isn't it? Is shadowing back, baby? We know it's moving to devious skills. It's one of the few that we have had confirmed are moving over there. So we know Sneaky Git, Dirty Player, Shadowing, and other people have said, what was the other one that's definitely moving over
Pile
there?
driver.
Yes, Pile Driver's definitely moving there. Eye Gouge sounds to me like it's moving there or invented into there, but there's going to be 12 skills in Devious.
Yeah.
We've heard something's coming in from the passing skill uh, because Bullseye, we believe, is going into passing.
Bumblerooski.
Yeah, lots of people have said maybe Fumble Rooski's going to come over, which would be perhaps of use to one-turning stunties to get the ball up to the line to throw it. So I could see that maybe being a thing that they could put into a devious trick. It does feel pretty devious. What about the new skills? Let's talk a little bit about those as we just wander through all of this news. Um, what do we make of the new skills we've heard about? So we know that Chomped is coming as a skill. We know Eye Gouge is coming. No, Monstrous Mouth is changing to provide the Chomped status. We don't know what that is. We know Eye Gouge is coming as a skill. We know Hit
Can we
and Run
talk
is
about?
going to be
Yeah,
bio.
exactly. Should we talk about hit and run? Because
Okay,
that's
let's
like
talk about Hit and
wolves,
Run. What's your hot take on Hit and Run?
wolves and gutter runners. Gutter runners will be natural one-turners, and wolves will be amazing if they can take it.
Will they though? I mean, I've heard this hot take quite a lot, and there's a sniff of
I mean,
bullshit about it to me. Keith, you sniff out a lot of bullshit in your life. Are you concerned about all these people going, "Ah, wolves are going to ruin us all with their hit and runs and gutter runners"? Despite Skaven being over, gutter runners are going to dominate the world with their hit and runs.
It depends where hit and run comes in. If it comes in as an edge skill and everything is the same as 2020, then I mean you are going to see people take hit and run, gutter runners, aren't you? Just for your natty one turns. Hit and run werewolves. I mean, you stop the shitty necro blitz, don't you? You can immediately. You don't have to do your 3+ dodge away anymore. It also gives you movement 9 blitz as well for one turning. It, I'm not too concerned about it. We'll deal with it if it comes out. But at the end of it, it depends where it goes.
Can I just say
It's
that
like
the hit and run one turner I think is massively overrated. I think it's much harder to
yeah.
do than people realise it is. But yes, of course, it does exist. It is a theoretical and technically possible thing.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
The
Sean.
same thing with wolves. That's always been true is kind of true with hit and run. I think where like the great thing is there are so many skills that are good on them. The bad thing is there are so many skills that are good on them, and you can only take a few. Right. So like, oh, hit and run, that'd be great. Or are you gonna skip block? Are you gonna skip dodge? Are you gonna skip? You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things you want on a wolf that like it's another good option. I think, but at the cost of what? Like every time I've played Necro, it's always like I just need one more skill on my wolves. I need one more.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I think in progression, you're absolutely right. I mean, I'd probably still not block first, and then I would start thinking, what are the many fun tools available to me in my tank?
But even Resurrection, if you can't stack, you're not going to take hit and run over
exactly.
block, are you?
But in Resurrection, you've got that one shot. You're very unlikely to be able to stack on them. I mean, I have seen tournaments where you can stack on Necro, and you do get some blodge wolves. So you're looking at one, possibly 2 skills on a wolf. Is hit and run really good enough value for it? I don't think the one turner is that much better than just using the frenzy to push something else into range. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my hot take on the hit and run one turn. I don't.
But that's
think
the
it's
issue of
that
the
good.
necro because we know zombies on undead are getting buffed. We know ghouls on undead are getting buffed. Aren't they the same players? Because then we're just boosting necro a ton.
Yes, Necro at the moment do seem to be one of those teams that does. We haven't heard anything bad about, have we? So as you said, zombies. We think they're getting eye gouge, don't we?
Yep.
Yeah, and ghouls are
Which is
getting
going to do
regen.
what?
Now
Do we
they
know
could
what I got
separate the
doing?
ghouls because, of course, when they wanted to redesign the wraiths, the whites on necromantic to wraiths, they changed the name from white to wraith and gave them new abilities. So we might get ghouls regenerating on undead and perhaps crypt walkers not regenerating on necromantic. I mean, you could just do something as lame as that, couldn't you? Or perhaps necromantic just become the best team now, right up there with Amazons.
Yeah. Then we know who they listen to among the playtesters. I mean,
well, if he
Wonder
was a
Woman getting really
playtester, he
good
would
as
have
well.
an NDA, so nobody would know. because he's famously discreet. The person you're allegedly referring to, who I won't name because it's Andy Davo. Right, so again, Necro might be creeping upwards too. But this is a world where we just don't know. We don't know all the things that we don't know. But let's make some wild assumptions based on what we do know. So, any other skills you think might be arriving other than the ones we know about? Do we think that that sure-footed, or whatever it is, steady-footed, we think that's going to be a skill, don't we? Where's it going to go?
Agility.
Purely some edge, yeah.
I'm
Is
gonna
it?
guess the Bretonnia Blitzers or Grail Knights are gonna like have access to everything, right? They have probably gonna have general strength and agility.
I hereby state I will always refer to them as Grail Knights and no other name, only because
Grail
I know
Knights.
how much it triggers some people. Because apparently in some of the lore, Grail Knights were these immortal supermen. So the fact they're now just blitzers on a Blood Bowl team has really upset some people. So knowing that, I will obviously always refer to them as Grail Knights. Because if that really bothers you, just remember, it's all make-believe. You can call them anything you want, no one minds. It's not true, it's not real. It's just stories in a book. Like people that get bothered by when Princess Leia suddenly floated through space. It's space magic. Who gives a shit what it does and doesn't do or what it has done before? Also, if you want space magic to do different stuff, it can. It's a story you're making up. Honestly, people, get all the way over it.
I agree on The Last Jedi. I'll join your hot take.
It just doesn't matter. As long as the story's good and the values or whatever it's portraying are good and interesting and fun, who cares what space magic is doing? Similarly, I spoke to someone today who I love. I love like a brother. Beautiful, beautiful man. One of his hot takes is that was quite excited about the new edition getting released and about obviously the influx of people into Blood Bowl. He even thinks that Bert's look an interesting team. And no, I don't think they look overpowered. I do think at the next NAFC in England there will be sort of 40% Berts. But I think that's mainly because that'll be 5 months after the box was released and people will have painted them and want to play them. So they'll be everywhere for a year. And I think they look good and I think they look fun. I'm sure they will be fine. Do I know if they're OP? Not until I know the prices and what all the other stats are. How could I possibly guess? I think they look fine, but I'm not sure they look OP. But my friend doesn't because they're wearing visors that are inappropriate for the game of Blood Bowl because they limit your vision to looking forwards. So, of all the reasons to not like new Berts, I think that's the. And I went, but you're fine with a chainsaw just stunning people. You know, we've all got our line somewhere. And I always say, but you're fine with a chainsaw just stunning people. So that was their line, is the Bretonnian helmets. But we did also see all the teams this year, this week. Anyone got hot takes on the Bretonnians or the Khemri? Were we excited? Did we like what we saw there on those 2 pages? So on the Wednesday and the Thursday, we had a full drop talking about each of the teams. Nothing we really hadn't had before about the Khemri at all. But on the Bretonnians, we had quite a lot of stats filled in. And I would say that none of them were a great surprise to us, were they?
I think the Khemri thing is kind of interesting, putting them in the box and giving them some buffs. Just from like a historical Blood Bowl strategist perspective, like they've always been kind of like a niche team, right? That you wouldn't recommend for a new player. But when you put them in the box, now you've got to kind of make them more new player friendly. I'm convinced that's why Secure the Ball exists, right? It's because like we don't want someone to buy this game, not pick up the ball 2 times, be like, this sucks and throw it away, right? So we have to make something to prevent that from happening. And then putting Brawler on the Tomb Guardian, same thing, right? Like, I want to block my strength 5 guy.
We want them to wait a lot longer before they realise the game sucks and throws it away. We want at least 45 minutes out of them.
Once you already got the hook in,
middle of the second half,
yeah. But it's interesting to take Khemri from a team that's always been kind of a niche, weird team for like board advanced players.
Let's be honest, shit.
Yeah, I mean, mostly, yeah. I mean, well, going back to the whole history, back when they used to be like the best kill team when they had the 4 Mighty Blow, they still sucked, but it was like, okay, if I really like hearing the sploosh noise, I can play them.
Yeah, I can kill people with them and get a reasonable win rate, but I won't dominate the world. Yeah.
But it's a big deal, kind of, for the balance of the game that you're taking a team and putting them into maybe a tier 1 or like a making them into a good team, right? So I think that's interesting. I'm not negative or positive on it. We'll see how it goes.
Is it? I mean, you said some buffs. I mean, what we know is happening to the Khemri, we still don't know prices on the units, but we do know that it would seem the throw Ras have lost thick skull. Presumably the blitz Ras have too, but the throw Ras have gone up 1 AV. So they are slightly stronger AV, but they don't have thick skull. And the Tomb Guardians, of course, the Tomb Kings themselves now have Brawler.
Yeah. Brawler's
So,
big for them because you throw a lot of blocks with those.
Yeah.
And if you've ever played Khemri, you 1 in 9 fail and turn over so much because you have to block with them. You don't really have another choice. And then, like, I don't know what the exact odds are if you can re-roll one of those 1 in 9s.
I do.
That's helping a lot.
Because back when Brawler first came in, I did the exact maths. And it works out. It simplifies kind of beautifully. 1 in 9 becomes a 1 in 18.
That's twice as good, literally.
It is, literally. And that's only looking at fail states.
Right.
It doesn't look at the occasional POW re-rolling for POWs. When the other die is safe, and it doesn't consider 3 die blocks.
Right.
But
And
if
they're
you just
better...
look at 2 die blocks with Brawler, it is half as likely to make you turn over.
Right. And you're going to do more casualties, right? Because you can fish for POWs once you get Mighty Blow on them.
Yeah, that's only about 6 or 7%, but it's
in...
surprisingly effective. How often you can have a go at it.
Oh yeah. But 1 or 2 more casualties in a game can decide the game,
absolutely.
right? So a few extra rerolls on those POWs, but so they'll be better for sure, right? Like I don't know if they'll be top level, but they'll be much better.
Better, yes, but Amazon level, no. And that now is the benchmark by which everything must surely be judged.
Right. No, probably not.
Okay, so we also saw the Bretonians. Are we excited? Are we surprised? I mean, I've talked them down a little bit in terms of OP, but Keith, what did you make of Brett's?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's more of wondering where do Imperial Nobility fit in now? Do they still exist? Yeah. Or are they going to have Bretts and Imperial Nobility?
Yes.
In which case, the Bretts are just better than Imperial Nobility, aren't they?
But I mean, Imperial Nobility have still got those lovely bodyguards. And
a big guy.
And a big guy, yes.
Yeah.
And some fend.
But all the Brett linemen come with wrestle.
Yeah, that's pretty good, isn't it?
Which basically just makes them strong gnomes.
How expensive is the Brett team going to be?
We don't know any of the pricings.
Right, but you see what I'm saying? Like, if you add wrestle on all those linemen, people already complain with the nobility that like it's actually hard to kind of fit the pricing in of them. So if you're gonna have the linemen be way better, but a similar team, like wouldn't the pricing be even more of a problem? I don't know, but
well, I mean, we've already got some people in the chat disagreeing without knowing how good Bretonians are going to be, because we don't know their skill access, we don't know their prices, and we don't know the stats of any one piece fully. Some people are already saying that knobs are going to be better, so that's a hot take. Knobs are going to be better than something you don't know. Yeah, they might be. They also might not. I think you need to be open to that as a possibility when you just don't know. Also, have they changed knobs? We don't know. My hot take is that I think there's still going to be some people with Shirokov was right badges wanting the original Bretonians still in the game, despite now having Bretonians and Imperial Nobility. I think there will still be some people that want to coach their original Bretonians.
Oh yeah, I still in my league want to put the Daemons of Corn thing in that they used. Remember the old the blood? I thought this was better. I don't like these new corn. Yeah, so there'll be someone for sure.
Okay, while we're on hot takes about things, another of mine is Slan. Now, where does all of this leave Slan? I've got my view. I want to hear what yours is, Keith.
They're gone, dead. There's no place for them anymore, surely. And the best thing that could happen is they do die, and then we really like GW come along and release a different team that have the exact same thematic skills as Slan.
Now I have a bit of an idea there. Kristofer, what do you think, Slan?
Yeah, they have to die. It's just there's no option. We can't have people making up rules for a made-up game, right? So
people already have. Someone already went through and gave them a passing stat.
Yep.
So there was already, even from the original Slan, from the Blood Bowl Rules Committee, there was already a rewriting of history. Sean, do you agree, Slan? Do they need to go? Is it bin time?
I mean, I think it seems like it probably will happen. I like having a leap-centered team, especially with jump being kind of a thing now that you kind of train your mind to see jumps more often. It used to be just like one team does it, two with the Wood Elves kind of, but
Now everyone.
now everyone does it. So like one team that's like our thing is we're really good at leaping, right? Like we got teams that are good at dodging. We got the Amazons. We got so, but in their current skin, that's got to be gone, right? Like in the current version. I mean, would it shock me if somebody in the NAF scene is like, no, we're just going to move them down to 2 blitzers and 2 catchers. We're going to give the blitzers plus movement and strip ball. That'll make up for it, and then we'll just move right along, right? But I don't know.
There will
We'll
be
see.
people, most of them Spanish, that will absolutely probably want something like that to happen. Like the
Right.
Shirokov was right, gang will have a new cause, and their cause will be Slan. But surely to God, it's time they died. Because now you are going to have to decide what happens to the the 0 to 4s. Do they go 0 to 2s like lots of other teams have, or do they stay 0 to 4 like some boxes have? We hear that passing is going to get buffed slightly across the board. I did mention that on Facebook they've been parading the stars, and we've mentioned that Cindy's doubled in price. But that's I think all that's happened that I can trace on her. And Acorn has gone from having no hands to having no ball. And I so want to add the S there, but I'm a proper grown up and I won't. So he has no ball as a skill, which I guess is now for things that all these used to have no hands. Because provably squirrels do have hands. It would be insane to say otherwise. And poor squirrel Acorn in every picture I've ever seen has hands, but he still can't pick up the ball. It would seem. We think that's what no ball is doing. How did we get here? So lots of things I think might be coming. Slan I think should go in the bin, but I think we need a leapy team. And I've noticed that Chomped is coming in for Monstrous Mouth. Now, I don't believe that the only player in Blood Bowl to have Monstrous Mouth is going to be Gobbler Grimlich. I just don't think they'll leave it there. Now, it could be because they're apparently going to be handing out skills like candy. It could be that we see all bloaters with Monstrous Mouth. That's not impossible. The models sort of look a bit like some of their stomachs might have mouths in them. But my hot take is, I think, because again, I've got some evidence here. Let me just pull this up if I can. I'm not sure I can, but we'll have a little look visually. Maybe not. Yeah, there it is. So I did just pull these little pictures up, and let me see if I can get them visible to us. Yeah, we've disappeared, but the image hasn't come up. There it is. So this one is the official handbook, which is going to be available outside of the box set. So we are going to be able to just buy the book, which I'm sure you agree is a lovely looking thing. So the rule book, they say it's going to be over 200 pages, is available to us. This is the actual what's going to be in the box, notably missing, as my friend Kristofer pointed out. I'd already spotted it, but we both realised it. There's no pack of cards, so the pack of the special plays deck that normally comes in the box doesn't seem to be in there. But you do have your ruler, you do have all of the range markers, you have the dugouts, you have the pitch, you have 2 teams, and you have all of the bits and pieces. Now, these are they. We've counted them. There are 37, the article says, new markers, but that counts these 2 ball and ball possession and the little tiny ball as well. But that means we get 6 distracted tokens, we get 7 stunned tokens, we get 7 prone tokens, we get 5 eye gouge tokens, we get 2 rooted tokens, and we get 4 chomped tokens. Now, the reason I go heavy on the 4 chomped tokens is it links to my hot take, which is I think Slan should die, and I think we need a squig team. And I think we might get a squigged team. So unless you're going to give Monstrous Mouth to a team that already has 4 of something, why would you give out 4 tokens unless you plan it to be a skill that will be around a bit? So I think we might see a squig team. They might call it Night Goblins, but I also can't think of anything people would rather paint or coach that isn't in Blood Bowl right now than squigs. I think it would make the sales of gnomes look positively soporific. I think they would sell out of red paint. and I think they would be shipping more squigs very, very quickly. So that was my hot take on the markers, is I think the 4 chomped statuses make me think squigs are coming. And they could also quite handily be quite leapy, couldn't they? So that's why I've linked there from Slan. See what I did? There was an end point to where we started.
I was
So
waiting
I
for
think,
that to weave back into
yeah,
something.
I think Slan should go, and part of the reason why is it creates the space for squigs to come in and fill that leapy chomping role. Anything else on the markers? What did you spot when you looked at the 37 markers we're getting in the new box set?
Board's getting very messy, isn't it? It's I quite like using blitz tokens, and I like using stunned markers and everything. But all of us, and it's when your players are going to have to stay standing but are prone, or stay standing and are stunned, and the board set looks quite different whether a model is standing or lying down, isn't it? It's the same with treemen. When people put bans on their treemen saying the treeman is actually prone, it's like, okay, it's just an extra mental thing.
Yeah.
But I guess does it make it a bit easier for newer players coming into the game? Maybe it does, if everything is clearly labeled and there's less gotcha moments, which I think is one of the best things about Blood Bowl, is that there is very few oh gotcha. Now your entire turn is ruined because of this one thing. It still happens, dump off on Dark Elf runners, for example, when you're blitzing it or whatever. It's like, oh yeah, that's a thing. Or on the ball for Amazons. So I think it's getting messy. Diving tackle. I mean, diving tackle doesn't exist.
Jump up on anything that has jump up.
You just pretend like you planned it that way and keep playing, and just ignore it with all those skills.
Yeah. So I think it's kind of cool. I still need to know what Gouge is doing, and whatever the bad snack one, the new kickoff event, and
well, that was an interesting one. Did you spot anything there? Anyone else spot anything in the tokens themselves they want to talk about?
I'm a little. I'm interested to see. I don't know if this has been confirmed yet. Maybe someone's more up and up than me, but do we know if distracted, is that going to be an excuse to kind of nerf hypno gaze a little bit to where it doesn't move? I saw there's also this thing with active and passive skills now, or like they're going to let you keep your blodge if you've been hypno gazed. Like it. I mean, I don't.
Again,
how do you think that's going to go?
We hear there's going to be a different system of yes, some of the skills might not be as lost under hypno cheat as they were. But
yeah, I think active kind of means like you have to be able to use it, and passive means it always works.
Yeah. So active skills, if you're distracted, we imagine all active skills will be lost.
I mean, I play in a super high team value league where everybody has 6 skills. Everybody's a legend, and like not everybody, but every team has legends and stuff. And when you play against vampires in that kind of a rule set, it's just like the game is stupid. It's not. There's not really any point, right?
Yes, so high TV vampires get very stupid now.
So I would at least like if I could keep my sidestep and stand firm, so I could guard the sidelines against them without just being surfed and having them laugh at me. So
yeah, I'm not sure that's going to be a thing.
Yeah, maybe block and dodge though, but yeah, we'll see.
I mean, there are already some differences that this rule set says it's going to be sorting out. If you read what they've said, so at the moment, if you hypno gaze someone, they lose all of their active skills, but they don't drop the ball. But if as a vampire you don't bite someone, you get bloodlust fail, and you lose all of your skills, and you do drop the ball. So I'm quite interested in whether distracted means you drop the ball or not, because it could be that vampires just need to hypnogaze someone and they drop the ball.
Surely not. No way. They wouldn't do that to us, would they?
Otherwise, if I fail my bloodlust and just run off, then it's not a turnover and lose my skills, but I don't drop the ball.
Don't put that evil out there, Dave. That would be so insane. So on a 2+ too.
It might be that, or there might be 2 different types of distracted. Distracted where you do drop the ball, and distracted where you don't drop the ball. At which point I insist on 2 different coloured markers.
Yeah. I can't say that you're wrong, but I hope not.
Now on dodgy snack,
they're tidying up things though.
Right. Yes.
Like Bonehead is now distracted as well. Really stupid's probably distracted.
Yeah. Right. That was kind of my understanding, that all of that is going to be consolidated into one thing.
Yeah.
And my hope was that it would be kind of the way it used to be in the old days, where you lose your tackle zones, but you can still defend yourself in terms of your block, your dodge. But no, you're not dropping the ball. Get out
Yeah.
of here. That's not happening. I mean, if I'm trying to carry the ball with my ogre and he goes bonehead and I have to drop it, that's not fair at all.
Well, then at which point, if my vampire fails his bloodlust, he should not have to drop the ball. What's sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander in the new wonderful world of Season 3. I spotted one other thing amongst the tokens, which is there's a lot of the Stone and Prone and Stun, Stone and Prund, 7 of each, but there's 2 of the Dodgy Snack. So that makes it's a kickoff event. We know that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Does it mean it's going to be 0 to 2, or does it mean you can have 1 on each team that has it?
Yeah, it's going to be the official ref, right? Because they said that one was going to get. So if instead of getting sent off, you put that one out, and that could happen to one player on each team.
Right.
And that probably just means you can't do anything within that activation, right? So just, I guess, or something like that.
Right.
Pleasingly, there's only 1 Blitz token, so no matter what else is changing, we are presumably still only going to get 1 Blitz each. 5 eye gouges, though, so that must mean there must be a team with a lot of eye gouge ability.
What is that supposed to do? Has that been confirmed? What eye gouge actually does?
You take away someone's ability to assist on blocks, which means it also stops guard.
Yeah.
Do you roll for it, or is it just automatic?
That we don't know. We don't know if it's if it replaces a block action or if it's a roll. We don't know.
Okay.
And I mean, we don't think it. Okay. How you get rid of it? Hopefully, just at the start of next turn. There might be a sweep your tokens up moment on each turn now, mightn't there?
Yeah.
I mean, are we worried about the board state? I know you don't play necessarily tabletop, Sean, but you still got to get all of this stuff represented in some way on a screen or on Blood Bowl 3. We've got to trust that they're going to implement it in ways that are easily visible to us.
Question marks.
And on a tabletop, as you say, have I suddenly got to get used to reading the 8 different statuses and then working out who's where and are they standing and what can I do and not do to them? Sure.
My first thought is I do worry a little bit that it could be too much. I mean, it seems like tabletop. I don't play much tabletop, but I mean, on Fumble, we just hope Krister does it right and trust him to figure it out. But yeah, I mean, if you're really talking about, there's 12 different guys on the board that have some kind of token on them, and then every turn you got to take them off and put them back on. Like, that seems like a lot when you're playing a board game to keep track of. And then it seems like it's going to be so easy for, like, we forgot one. Oh crap, this guy's had this for 2 turns and I forgot to remove it. When did it, and then it's like a big argument over how to, it seems like a lot, but I don't want to speak too soon, but it worries me a little bit, I think.
I mean, I'm all right with maybe the figures not lying down. They're increasingly not necessarily that easy to lie down and to keep within a single square when they do. But it is a huge change. Perhaps I'm just being one of those people that fears change, the idea of just putting status markers and everything to tell me what it is.
I think people just keep going to flip them down when they're stunned. I don't think people stop doing that. So it's just the new tokens we need to get used to.
Well, stunned I've stopped doing. I mean, the difference between stunned and prone to me is whether I've put a marker under it. If it's knocked over, I line my figure down. But now I've got a lovely set of stunned markers that came, first of all, the first time I got hold of any was the Malta Europol, the Athens Europol. And I've had a few other sets given to me since. So I've now got these little tiny plastic discs I can slip under them when they're stunned. And then I remove that when they're just prone. And then they stand up when they haven't got one. So that's the system I'm using. So I guess I might be trying to replace, but I mean, people will still be stood up when they're eye gouged, or we don't know. Chomped, presumably they're stood up, are they? Or who knows? Who knows what chomped means? Anyone guess what okay, so eye gouge we know means you can't give assists, but presumably you're still standing, which is why it needs marking. What? Anyone know what they think chomped is going to be?
I mean, I've heard people speculating that it could be something hypnogaze-ish. I've heard people say it could lower a stat, like could lower the player's strength, so then you could hit them. I've heard people say it could be a thing that goes with vampires. It means you've been bit by your teammate. That doesn't really, I mean, why would that apply to why would you need the markers in the box if that was the case? But unless they're going to add more things that can do that, or, yeah, I've heard a lot of things, but no, I really don't know.
Yeah, we have noted London tryhard Captain Oates in the chat. I tend to agree with him. I think it might be something to do with movement. It might restrict movement in some way, but
Okay.
Yeah, maybe it reduces the movement. You have to pay, just like standing up, right? Maybe.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Perhaps you have to do a strength roll to get away from being chomped. They've chomped onto you or something. I really
It
don't
goes
know.
Strength
with
rolls. What are those?
it goes with monstrous mouth now, right? Am I
Yes, monstrous
correct? They've
mouth
said
we
that?
know is going to give the chomped status.
Okay, so that's not going to do anything with like catching sure hands anymore.
No,
Or is it
which is a
gonna
shame. I
also-
might be the
Might
only
do
person
that
in
well,
Blood Bowl that
maybe.
really rated monstrous mouth as it was, but it's
yeah,
gone.
you were the one.
I was the one. Yeah, well, look, it's the all of catch and half of sure hands. What's not to? It's a skill and a half. What's not to love?
But yeah, you know, how much sure hands and catch do you take on a lot of teams?
Well, look, I went to one event with vampires where you were allowed to put 3 mutations on no matter what your race was. And
Okay.
I had 2 heads on a runner, and that was fantastic. And I had monstrous mouth on a runner, and it was all right. It did underperform, I admit, but it was all right. It was a good skill to have. It so
In
happened
theory, it could have done something.
I did use the catch on it a couple of times, and it made one turning
Okay.
with them much easier. But
Okay.
there wasn't anyone that came with strip ball at that particular event, or at least that faced me with strip ball, so it was useless there. The third one, I put iron hard skin on a Vargeist, and that was complete trash. That was just no use at all. It did nothing. And except it sort of did, I suppose. There was one of my opponents who decided they would still try and foul the Vargeist, and only on the third time did they think they'd broken armor with the amount of assists they were putting in. At which point, because I am a bit of a dick at times, it was only then that I pointed out, didn't matter how many assists, they still needed to roll a natural 11.
Try again with one more.
At which point they decided I hadn't been their friend for letting them do it that long. But then I wasn't their friend, I was their opponent. Okay, so we just know, no one's got any guesses, no one's heard any rumours as to what Chomped might do. But isn't that exciting? Have I managed to get 3 people that are all excited by the idea of something new and a rule set chucked up in the air? Because let's circle back to that. We talked a little bit about the details out there in the weeds. But there has been a lot of panic about this idea that whether it's a solved rule set or not, that the whole meta is going to be shaken, all the teams are going to change, we're all going to have to adjust to a new world. I find that exciting. Is that a basic take that you can relate to, or are you concerned? Can you empathise with the people that are terribly worried about this? Kristofer.
Yeah, sure. People don't want to lose their favorite thing, whatever it is, right? So understandably, people, unless they're Skaven, we don't care about those. But like, yes, of course, we can empathize with that. But I agree that it's interesting, it's fun, it's going to be a new solve. Like, I don't think that's the issue, right? Because everyone likes to get the new stuff and figure out what's good. But we're kind of scared that we'll figure out that something's really broken, right? That's kind of more the thing. I'm more scared that GW can't do game design first, which will lead to issues in the board game instead of like, yes, this is going to be amazing, because it probably is, but not for everyone, because someone will really get shafted and we don't really know who yet.
I mean, okay, yeah, fair enough. Sean, let's bring you in on this. What do you think?
Well, I guess most people that I've seen that are angry about it are a little more angry just from like not the in-game level, but like the business level of the way the decision was made to change the box set. You know what I mean?
It's for the
And I
good of
agree with
new
that.
players.
Oh, okay. So let me just give me 30 seconds on this because okay. So for how long now, Games Workshop has basically known that you have to buy 2 teams to make a team, right? And they've profited off that. And that's just been something we've do, and we've always complained about it, that I buy my team, I don't have all my players, right? I find it quite gaslighting for them to say, we fixed this problem. We fixed the problem, okay? You will now, and I saw someone even doing the meme with Anakin and Padme, like, oh, you're going to give us the pieces we want in the box, right? Right? No, we fixed the problem by changing the rules, so now you have to play with the shitty team that was already in the box.
If the mountain can't come to Muhammad,
that's to me, it's kind of insulting to come at us and say we fixed the problem, by forcing you to play this horrible way with these two blitzers in a way that you never wanted to play for the last 10 years. So
But it does
now,
fix
whether
the
or not
problem.
I mean, I get, yeah, and to your point, David, there will be people who come into the game now and didn't know this whole history of it and don't know that this is what they did to us. Like, will probably not care, right? And they'll be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. The thing's in the box, it's in the rule, whatever. But it is a little bit of a kick in the nuts to me that they finally fixed this problem in that way. And so I think people are just angry about that because they just feel like they're not being respected by the company that they've given so much money to. But as far as the game and all that, like, Blood Bowl changes, man. Like, there's things that suck in every rule set. There's things that are fun in every rule set, and I keep playing, so the game will be fine, I think.
Keith, you've the least invested. My neophyte, my ingenue, beautiful young man that you are. I realise you're actually 35, but you may look a sweet little 16. You've perhaps the least invested in the back history of Blood Bowl. So how are you about all? Let's throw it all out and start again. Presumably you've only been learning it for 20 minutes. You can't feel you've lost that much of invested time and energy.
No, I mean, it's totally fine. I don't care. um, I'll still play with it. Some of my models are now obsolete. Maybe, so what? Don't care. I'll buy more models. I'll buy more teams. I'll still go to tournaments. I'll still have a great time with
Is
a
that the thing that's
fantastic
upsetting
community.
people, do you think? I mean, I put a lot of effort into
Yeah.
not painting anything at all, ever. But hence, my Orc team has been assembled from two different Orc teams, where I've sold off the throwers and linemen I didn't need from Team 2 and added those blitzers and black and big ones who are more or less similarly painted to the team I already had. And now I've got 4 spare models I'll never need. Is that where a lot of the arse hurt's coming from, you think?
I mean, people spend a lot of time and effort painting their models, right? A lot of people spend a lot of money paying other people to paint their models.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden, they've paid 50 quid for 2 big ones who'll never see the light of day again. Unless, one of them gets injured and thematically they'll use another model for a league or something like that, because people do that, I used
Role
to do
players
that.
do that. I've heard this
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Some people have fun playing tabletop leagues.
Madness.
It's great. But I don't care. You could change most Blood Bowl teams in the morning and I'd still play Blood Bowl, I'd like to think. It'll still be the same game, more or less.
I mean, I'm genuinely slightly excited by this idea that the rules themselves may not change very much. There's still going to be, I think, the Blood Bowl itself. We're going to lose a couple of the really stupid things, like Wildly Silly Pass is gone apparently.
Yeah, that's good. Although the change to that is now going to be that you just fumble every time
lots
you
more fumbles. Yeah.
Instead of just going back to where it's either a fumble or it's inaccurate or it's accurate. Well, I mean, it's still like that, but there's way more fumbles.
Well, Safe Pass is only going to work on a natural one.
Yeah, so it's not even going to fix that problem.
Yeah. So if there's a natural one, but there's still 4 fumbles on the dice, you're still going to fumble on those 4 results. Safe Pass will save you on the natural one only. I don't know. Where is that line between Games Workshop just trousering profit and Games Workshop saying, let's make this a simple, accessible game and keep all the people involved interested by just literally shaking all the pieces? So imagine if you still know 85% of the rules, that the 2 or 3 rules that are changing are ones that are very easy to adjust to because it's stuff you hated that's disappeared, like biased, like the absurd ref who sent someone off has gone to something a bit less ridiculous. There's a new set of skills, but pretty much most of the skills are the same. But the whole meta's different, isn't that? I mean, I find that quite fundamentally exciting. You're old like me, Kristofer. Do you find that exciting? The idea of I know a lot of things, but I can relearn everything.
Yeah, I think it's. Yes, I think I'm positively inclined to agree. I think it's something good, but something in the back of my head is like the thing is like, are they breaking more than they're actually improving the game instead? Because basically, if they're going by data or feedback, that feedback is all based on the old way, so it's kind of useless in that sense. So I'm hoping, and I think it'll be fine. because basically since I mainly play enough style, like it'll be fixed by tiering, so there will be
Yeah.
but if you play progression, you play leagues, and you still want to try and play good and not just thematically fun, there might be obvious choices because there are so many moving parts. The chance that they've got everything right is basically zero.
Well, I mean, there's two sides to that. The first, I mean, you've mentioned this already, and lovely Jimmy Fantastic in the chat has just dropped it too. They're going to change everything, but we're so good at reading rules packs and looking for
Yeah,
advantage in Blood Bowl. Aren't we going to work it out in like 15
yeah,
minutes once we've read the rule book?
probably. Yep.
Well, I mean, think about like what happened with like the vampires when they made that last change, where
Yeah.
they first tried that animal savagery thing, and it's like they're unplayable, and then they like totally reworked it. Now it's like now they're way overpowered. Like I don't necessarily think we need like 15 teams that all go through something like that because we're changing them so much that like
Yeah.
we have to do an errata because they suck and now they're too good and now you know what I mean. Like it could get messy with stuff like that if you change too much.
Well, there's that planet-sized brain, Sean, because that's the other side I wanted to go to. And the flip side of that is the reverse, that we do get, underworld swarming situations, a situation they haven't thought through or play tested to the point that the community instantly will, and that we're going to get
Right.
some broken stuff. Um, but
Yeah,
to
and
me,
one thing there is
that's
like
priced
it's
in,
even going
isn't
to
it?
be broken faster thanks to Blood Bowl 3, right?
Well,
Because
Because
the
there's so
amount
many
of
games
games
being played, right?
played
Yeah.
instantly.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
yes, but I mean, Blood Bowl 3, realistically, I mean, they say it's going to be season 12, don't they? That's the rumours I've been
Not
hearing,
confirmed, but yeah, I
which is
reckon so.
still 4.5 months from now. And because Cyanide have a great track record of making all of the deadlines they've set for
I was
themselves.
I was just gonna say they got what wasn't it? I remember us doing a podcast like about 30 years ago about
Yeah,
how Blood Bowl 3 was coming out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it had
But
18
yeah.
betas and still launched broken. Yes, it's I mean, when they say season 12, I'm thinking some point of 2026, and I think I'm being quite optimistic there.
We'll see. Yeah.
But we'll see.
But I mean it'll be played a lot in NAF tournaments and a lot on Fumble probably because Krister will do it quickly.
Yeah.
So we'll know. I'm guessing before Blood Bowl 3 even gets around to it.
Well,
And
there's
then,
even
but like you
there's
said,
some fairly big tournaments coming out. I mean, the Welsh Open is the first weekend of January, pretty much, or the second weekend of January. That has well over 100 people signed up for it. I'm sure that'll use the new rule set now. That'll be out long enough that people will. I would imagine if it's in 2026, people aren't going to want to go to anything that isn't the new rule set. If we've had it 6 weeks by then, I think we can
Yeah.
expect that that should be what people are playing. Am I crazy? Does 2026 feel too soon for this, or?
Everyone
Might
want
be
to play
too
the
soon for something like
Bretonians
the Welsh.
instantly, it appears, right?
Sorry, let's bring. Let's go with Keith first, and then we'll come to you on that, Kristofer. 2026. What do you think?
Sorry. Yeah, it'll definitely come in. I was just saying that the Welsh might be too soon for the 2020 or 2025 rule set, right? Just because you are going to have 100 people there, and it's like the biggest Welsh tournament of the year. But then again, the Welsh tournament historically has been quite imbalanced anyway. But they have done their best to tighten everything up this year. I think we'll see some smaller tournaments adapted very early. I've seen one actually. That's later on, like 2 or 3 weeks time. They've put in like, oh, we're using the new rule set. Come
Yes,
and
me
learn how to
too.
play it. And I thought that was quite interesting. That they're already planning on playing the new rules and testing everything out, and I think that's quite cool. I know Ireland were trying to figure out like we have one of our big 2 layers is at the end of January, and I know we're trying to decide whether or not that's going to be the new rules or we'll stick with 2020.
Well, I won't be
So a
coming
lot
either
of
way, but I definitely would be coming if it was 2020.
yeah,
If I get, I'm on the reserve list for the Welsh Open. If I get a ticket and I turn up and I lose a game because I try and throw the ball and I wildly silly pass it 6 squares backwards into someone that catches it and scores a touchdown, I will not be happy. That's not the rules anymore. They've gone. They've died. Let them go. 2026, Kristofer. Do you think that's the time? And should we start in January?
Yeah, I think we should start as soon as possible because everybody would like to try them and play them for real. So I don't think you should hold back.
So I'm going to 3 more events before Christmas. I'm now, after yesterday, I stand at 19 races coached. Okay? Let's assume I haven't coached anything. Let's assume, I mean, there are some key things missing, and I'll tell you about afterwards. But if there was a race that you would say, if you haven't coached this, David, coach this in those 3 tournaments, because I think it's completely screwed. So you can only pick one of the many we've talked about. Which would it be? Sean, which one should I get played before it dies?
Which ones have you not played again?
All of them.
Repeat the question.
Let's say it's all of them. Let's say that you can suggest any race.
Oh, what should you play before the rules
to make
change?
sure I've done it before the rules have changed.
Oh, Orcs for sure. That's my obviously my first choice. Yeah. Okay. Or Skaven are the 2. Yeah.
Okay, Kristofer, which ones do you think are going to suffer the most? Which should I play if I'm going to play them?
I'm going to say dwarfs because you won't have tackle anymore.
Dwarves are going to be in huge trouble if they lose tackle. I mean,
to
be honest, I'm not sure they will be. If they lose block on the beards, I think they're in huge trouble. If they go to the brawler armbar variant that we see on Old World Alliance, then I think dwarves are in huge trouble. If they lose tackle and gain it on the blitzers, I think they'll be fine. I think what won't be fine is Amazons. I don't think it'll hurt. I think dwarves will do just fine against most of the same people, but I think Amazons will get a boost from not having their biggest predator around. So which should I play? Keith?
I think it's very interesting. Yeah, it's something I've been talking about because I want to tick off all the races. And
I'm at 19. What should I make sure I have done before the end of the year?
So I'm off to 20 now, and I ticked off Slan earlier because I was like, they're definitely dead.
I've done Slan.
And the next one I have to tick off at the moment is Renegades.
Oh, okay.
Because they didn't get a GW box. They were in the rules book though. So it's kind of 50-50, right? Are they going to still exist?
Well, one race I haven't ticked off is Skaven. I just don't hate myself enough to be a rat bastard. To coach rats on tabletop. Should I sort that out before this rule change then? If I'm going to coach rats, is it now? Are they at the peak they're going to be for the next few years, do you think?
Could be. Yeah, I could see that being true.
Yeah.
Right, we do need to start dragging this towards some form of conclusion. Not that there's going to be conclusions, because we know so little about this rule set that's coming. Except we know that it's coming. We know it's going to be pre-ordering this week, which means it'll be out within 2 weeks, which means there's going to be a hot, lovely new rule set in your hands at some point in November. I think we're fairly confident of that, even if nothing is exactly nailed down yet. Are you going to get it, actually physically? Let's go around the room. Keith, are you going to get yourself a copy of this? And are you doing the box or the book?
Oh, box all the way, absolutely. Well, I actually don't have Tomb Kings or Births, so it makes sense for me to get it. I heard a rumor earlier on today it's only going to be £88 as well.
Yeah.
Which is cheaper than the Season 2 box, so that can't be right.
The lack of those special play cards, I think that's what's kept the price down.
I mean, you got like referees and you got big guys as well in the previous one, right? So maybe.
Yeah. No maybe 2 refs, no 2 stars, maybe. So that might be the way forward. I did hear some at £100, which would be interesting. Kristofer, are you doing book or box, or nothing?
I'm going to go book if at the least. I'm undecided as of yet because I don't get time to play as much. I do like to paint. I paint a bit, but maybe. So it's definitely a book, maybe the box.
Okay. And Sean, is this going to make you leap back in? Are you going to buy any of the books or boxes?
I don't feel like buying anything right now for the just the saltiness reason I gave earlier about not liking Games Workshop gaslighting me. So
sure.
So I'm not planning on giving them any money right now, but I'll probably play it and I'll be around it. So yeah,
What are the biggest sort of upsides for you of the news that you've heard? What's made you the most excited? It sounds like as 4 of us, we're fairly positive. I guess what has made me the most excited in the news that we've heard so far is probably still the return of Bertz. I still think that's the big headline for me. I'm not seeing anything that massively worries me, and I think Bertz is just a huge positive. Wildly silly pass going is competing in my heart, though, because I think that's a brilliant change. Keithabix, what is your most exciting thing from the news?
Officious Ref gone. My least favorite thing in Blood Bowl. I'm also just really excited that Games Workshop still love and care about Blood Bowl, and they keep wanting to make new stuff. Yeah. And if they keep making new fun things like gnomes, then they'll get more and more new people in, and the game will just get bigger. And the community is fantastic. So I don't know. You had a podcast not so long ago about the golden age of Blood Bowl. I think we're going to have a golden age part two.
You think we're going to move
Like
on
a
from
real-
when? I mean, as we all know from the tiering of games now, beyond gold there are many, many other things, but perhaps a platinum age before
Oh,
us.
S tier.
S tier before
In
we
the S
enter a
tier.
super double elite ninja skeleton pirate Eskimo age, which
Absolutely.
obviously
It's
is
going to be great.
several levels above that. Kristofer, what's your most exciting thing?
I believe the game might get slightly more dynamic because we're losing positionals that can get guard. So maybe there'll just be less guard around, which means positioning will be more important and getting to the right spot and
Yeah,
not
that's
just
a good
moving a
point. I
blob.
hadn't thought about that. Not only are we losing all the strength pieces, we are losing a lot of the guard pieces, aren't we? So yeah, perhaps the guard wall that people are worried about will be a thing of the past. We can look forward to a much more dynamic game where we all just stand and look at walls of Amazons and wonder how the hell we get past them. Sean, what's the thing that excited you the most?
I might have a tie. I think taking off the concept of making the game more dynamic, getting rid of wildly inaccurate pass is really good. Just when when you can't throw the ball around the board reliably, the game condenses into a very boring, smashed in version of the game. When you can pass the ball somewhat reliably around the board, all of a sudden the whole board opens up a lot more, so your tactical options are a lot bigger. And then something I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but I'm interested to hear more about is the devious skills thing. I think that's an interesting concept that could
Hmm.
potentially be fun.
Yeah,
Like
there's
just
going to
sort
be
of
a
goes into
lot
a
more in
different.
there that we
Yeah,
haven't heard of yet, isn't there?
right.
Um,
Yeah, and just there's a lot you could. We talked about some different ways, but there's a lot you could potentially do with that, and it could be both thematic, right? So you have like if you say, oh, high elves can't take that because they're too goody goody to use dirty player now, then it's like okay, that makes sense fluff wise, and also tactically, it gives different teams some different options that other teams can't have,
yes, I
which I think
think
is
I think the
good.
day of
So
the pro elf sneaky git line person may be gone.
right, which is fine. I think that's okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's. I'm excited to see what they do with the devious skills thing. I'll give them credit for at least a good idea in theory on that one.
And I'm excited, obviously, for Squigs, which, as far as I've convinced myself they're coming now. So,
Okay.
as far as I'm concerned, that was released in the news. The fact that there are 4 chomped markers confirms to me that we are
Uh,
definitely 100% getting Squigs to replace Slan, which obviously the NAF do now have to kill.
I mean, we're probably getting more teams, right? Because they have all the opportunity with the old world as well. Now we absolutely going to get Cathay, and we're probably going to get all the 4K goods, right? There's no reason for them not to now.
Well, I mean, Slanesh and Zinch are somewhat harder to see how they would be thematically linked to Blood Bowl, but yes, I think they'll probably come at some point. Cathay, I do agree that Games Workshop are big on. I think we could definitely see some Cathay. Um, I think Squigs. I still think we'll get those. I think we'll get High Elves first and then Squigs. Because I think they, and if we don't, if we do, I want everyone to credit me for wishing them into existence. And if we don't, then I think they've stolen the worst part of my two thoughts. Rather than Squigs, they just stole my elf plan. I'm taking full credit for Dark Elves losing 2 blitzers, obviously, because I'm the only person in Blood Bowl that's ever called for that to ever happen. So everyone should thank me for that. I'm quite excited about all of this. I do think the changes are a bit bewildering. So my biggest fear isn't actually orcs, mainly because, as I said, my friend has played speed orcs quite successfully, and I do think there's things you can do with the orc roster with not much buffing that will make them adapt into a slightly more hybrid role. And perhaps for the real bashing, we're going to have to go, to black orcs or to chaos and to other things that are filling that niche. And perhaps orcs can be a slightly more hybrid team, a bit more like humans. It's humans. I worry for humans. I think with Old World Alliance just looking, if they don't get changed, looking so much better than humans for such little cost in terms of what you lose. I don't see why I would ever pick humans, but there are buffs supposedly coming to them. Kristofer, you talked about this design cul-de-sac they've put themselves into, being box based as being the biggest problem. Anything else you perceive as the underworld of season 3? Anything else you see as worrying? Is it punt? Is
I
it
mean,
taunt?
No, it's GW's inability to design games.
Well,
It's like there's no way they're not going
cool.
to
We've
mess
all been
something up.
saddled with that with 40, 50 years, and yet we're
Yeah.
still here. So,
So that's like the issue. Like there's something going to be super broken that needs fixing, right? How fast will they do that?
yes,
Because
I
their
mean,
testing isn't testing.
but I mean, we also, yes, no, it isn't. But we have a designer now with a track record of interesting and successful games design who does seem to want to listen to
Yeah.
the community. So perhaps if
Yeah.
anything's broken, it gets fixed in 6 months, not 6 years. Keith, any big
Yeah.
worries or concerns for you as we wrap up?
Not really. I think Underworld are back though, especially if they're getting a movement eight's strip ball blitzer. Um,
Right. So again,
that
it's the
could,
same as the Old World Alliance, isn't it? They're losing so little from a Skaven team now.
yeah, like they're actually getting buffed, right? It's the same with like the Necro, like they're getting buffed potentially. But it's all kind of cool and exciting. I suppose the only worry is, we are playing Underworld, Zon, Vampire Bowl, and then everything else is maybe a bit, below that level. But thankfully, NAF side at least, the TOs responded very well. Like the last couple of months, a lot of tournaments recently, Sons and Undead are getting like 1100 instead of the 1150, but it doesn't really help.
Yeah,
But at
and
least it's
still
something.
dominating
Yeah.
things like they are in the World
Yeah.
Championships on Blood Bowl 3. I mean, you say TO's responded well. It took over a year for people to spot that Underworld were perhaps doing quite well and maybe oughtn't to be tier 3 or 4 anymore.
Yeah. But I think because of that, they're a bit more on the ball now with vampires going up to tier one. Like there's still some tournaments where you see vampires tier three,
I
tier
know.
two, and then
Mostly
like
really annoyingly far away from London, though.
like vampire is still quite good at 1156 skills. But yeah, I had the pleasure of playing them at 1207 skills 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah.
unsurprisingly, I played three vamp mirrors and won the tournament. But I still have to play
They,
three vamp mirrors.
But isn't this the point of haven't they got a slight point? I know everyone goes, oh, there's still lots of different builds and stuff. Yes, but now we're going to know nothing for at least 5 minutes. Isn't that a beautiful, wonderful restarting point?
Yeah, it's really exciting. It's
To a
nice to
young man
start
like you, to wipe
somewhat
away all of
fresh.
Kristofer's ancient knowledge of the runes and stones of the early 2000s. Back when you were in short trousers and a nappy. Um, Surely this is just a wonderful, wonderful moment. Now we do need to wrap up. So, final thoughts. Anything we haven't covered from the news of this week, or indeed the news in general about the drop of season 3, about the panic that there's been about it, and about the various changes that we have and haven't heard about. Just Clan has just asked in chat, and I do think this is something we haven't touched on that should be mentioned. Have we heard if it's going to be just the ones in the box? No one has mentioned anything about dropping the numbers of available linemen from the usual 0 to 16s or 0 to 12s to just they say 0 to 6 or 0 to 8 that's in the box. Indeed, because it hasn't been mentioned, some people have said, well, then it's no different. Still going to need another box to get more linemen, so I have some versatility in how I build them and in how I run leagues. So at the moment, the answer is no, we haven't heard that that's changing, and we're not expecting it to. But the whispers and leaks have been all over the place, and certainly no one has even mentioned that. So I would have thought someone would have said something if that was likely to be the case. I don't think we're worried about it. So, anything we haven't covered, anything that you expected me to talk about that we haven't touched on tonight before we wrap up and let these lovely people rest their ears? Kristofer, anything you were expecting from us or want to talk about yourself?
No, I think we covered most of the interesting parts. We mentioned the good, the bad, and the ugly. So yeah, no, I think we should just be positive and hope for the best, expect the worst, and just roll with the punches because that's what we always do with GW.
Yeah, there's no denying there's going to be some bumps on this road. There's going to be some rules that don't work or that are overpowered or that don't quite fit with the game. So they can be changed. Tournaments can just ban that entire skill if it's that bad, and then the next errata can tone it down or change it, and that's what 6 months away tops. I think it'll all be fine. Sean, anything we haven't talked about that you wish to before we let these lovely people go?
no, not really. I think we'll see what happens when it all comes out, and like everyone is saying, the game will move on, and I'm sure we'll keep playing, most of us, and new people will come in, and that's the way it's always been. So yeah, on it goes.
Keith, same question, of course.
Yeah, I guess the only thing we didn't really focus a lot on, but like the future progression Blood Bowl with the randoms totally gone, redraft still
Yeah.
in. Is progression Blood Bowl gone the same way Blood Bowl 3 progress like ladder? Is it just dead at this stage? Like, you know, I have a bit of a hot take in that Blood Bowl 3 and all their ladder changes are what we're expecting to see from the new Blood Bowl. They a couple of seasons ago they got rid of the half price randoms, and then everyone was like, "Well, this is shit and this is terrible." And now they're doing the 8 game 1400 redraft, and
Yeah.
I still have my tinfoil hat on. Is that what we're facing in the new rule set? But
Keith, you're not alone. You're as dubious and skeptical as well. He's a very beautiful young man. And I had the same dark thought myself. I thought back to that season where suddenly random skills were accessible as random, but at the same price in terms of TV. And that seems to
yeah,
be what people are telling me that the new rules are going to be. And everyone hated it. Everyone thought that was sort of the worst of both worlds. But I can see it making sense from a point of view if you think what's breaking the game at times is to have those random skills which you can keep through several seasons, and that discount is always there. Or to try a
I
random
had,
at a 10 TV who gives a shit if it's a miss,
yeah,
exactly.
but at 20
I had,
perhaps not. So I see the sense, but yeah, it wasn't popular, was it, Kristofer?
there was a design idea I thought about. Like they should prevent you from firing players unless they're injured, because that would stifle that completely.
Right.
Instead of removing the random part, you could say you can't fire a player unless they're injured.
So suddenly anyone with a bad skill is absolutely on the line of
Yeah,
scrimmage
because
with
then it's
yeah,
actually a
you
gamble.
want them to be injured so you can get rid.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, some sort of players' union. I could see that. That might be good.
There's a few leagues that do that, isn't there? Like the ZFL does
Yeah.
that, and I know there's one or two on Fumble that have you can't fire your players; they just have to die or naturally retire at the end of the season or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like during redraft you can always fix it, right? But like
Yeah,
just because that kind of takes care of the random the dwarf line now, I didn't get guard, fire him, buy him again. No, you have to play with armbar now for 8 games
Yes.
because the dwarf is not dying.
Well, don't worry. Armbar's giving you plus SP now every time. All those
Yeah.
thousands of times that people dodge off it and hurt themselves.
Wasn't that the greatest troll in that article? That you will now
Jesus.
get SPP for armbar. You think
No,
you
'cause-
think one man in the world was out there like, yes,
Every
yes,
dwarf
I
coach
really
read
wanted
that and thought, brilliant. So they are. They're giving all dwarves bloody armbar, and to try and make it something that we don't just revolt and burn Games Workshop to the ground over,
Yeah,
they're going to make it give
something
us SPP.
taking off what Keith said. It's interesting for me coming back after a long time not playing and someone who played a lot
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago. When I was first playing, NAF and like Resurrection was like this new thing that was like a variant that only existed when you didn't have time to play in a league, right? Because you can't really do a tournament where you play 20 games and build your team. But Blood Bowl was always a progressive game. It's a tabletop RPG. It was like a Dungeons and Dragons thing. And it's even just hearing the way people talk about it now, like when I talk about Blood Bowl with people and I start talking about building my team and all this, people are like, building your team? What do like that part of it is really, I don't know. I still run a league where we do that, but the thing that it's always going to have to be in my league is we use the old skill up system. We don't use the new point buy system at all. So you get a certain amount of SPP, you level up like you would in Dungeons and Dragons or anything else. And
Many
I
people
don't
complain still now about missing that adrenaline hit from finding a double on your skill up roll.
of all the house rules I've tried in my league, that one and people have hated on me and said this sucks and yelled at that one universally. People have not only said they prefer the old skill up system, but like passionately, like this is so much more fun.
I mean,
it is so much more fun to roll your skill and not know if you're going to get strength or a double or whatever. So yeah, I unless they somehow, and I don't think they're going to do anything drastic like go back to that. So it's tough.
I do agree. I do really miss that. Let's see what's on those dice, and is this?
Oh, for the replayability, right? You play a bad game, and then after the game,
I'm in that league of
roll.
yours, and I've been enjoying it and having some fun and just playing some very light-hearted Blood Bowl with it. For me, it's been horrific because for me, coaching goblins, they're one of the few teams where I don't want a primary skill at all. I want to save up and choose. I want to save up on either
Sure.
risk. Random secondary is great on them. So for the same
Right.
price in the modern
Right.
rules, it's the same price as a primary chosen. I can random a general secondary, and there's so many
Right.
good hits there for goblins. But in
Right.
the old system, I have to wait until I roll a double. So I'm
Right.
constantly
Yep.
cycling through goblins. So whilst I do agree that I much prefer the system, I do think there are some winners from this modern
Sure.
system.
Isn't there like a real life problem with the old system as well? Because it kind of, if I roll this, I'll let you roll that. And then we all
Yes,
the rest of the league, we
yes.
all got what we want,
Oh
right?
no, I got strength and
So
he got agility on his key baller. Yeah, that
the
definitely
first
happened.
the first guy I ever played Blood Bowl with was a high school friend of mine who was a devious skill in real life human being who I did not trust.
Yeah.
And I remember him, he was reading the rule book, this is 30 years ago, and he says, wait, I can score in one turn with my Wood Elf catchers if I just roll plus movement. And then when no one was watching, his 3 Wood Elf catchers all rolled plus
Oh,
movement.
wow, what a lucky man. What a
Wasn't that
lucky
amazing?
man that man was.
But,
So the way
so
that everything
that's
is
funny. But,
costed now, I don't mind. And the fact now that if you roll a random, it's going to cost you the same amount of TV, I know that's problematic. I still think there's going to be times, particularly in leagues where you're coming towards playoffs or coming towards a redraft, where you might throw some randoms and see what you get to decide if that player's worth keeping or not. But I think it's a much fairer start to that they don't end up cheaper. Um, just, I just think that has never really sat well with me. The idea that if you've got super lucky, you can stay for years, for seasons, for
but
multiple games.
does it? I mean, I never came around to the idea that randoms are a good option. Hardly ever. I think people. I think I've heard you say this before, David, but like. I think people want randoms to be good because they crave that fun that there used to be when you roll the skill and you don't know what you're going to get and it's
Yeah.
gambling. I just competitively, I cannot see randoms, even if they do cost less, really being the best option long term in a league, right? And so it's like, what's the point of this mechanic at
I mean,
all?
it
If
depends how you build. I mean, for example, most elf teams, if you choose everything on positionals, but you random some generals just to start off your linemen, then whichever one they hit, whether it's kick or wrestle or or block, or even frenzy or tackle, you then build on top of that with chosens. So it just gives you a nice, quick, easy start. Get some skills on the team really early when very few skills are around. So it's had its uses there, but yes, I think it also has its limitations. And in a perpetual league where you can just play a few games, roll randomly your first 5 skills, and if you're not lucky, bin it and start again.
right,
It gets very, very broken very quickly if people are prepared to put that grind in. And because it's an online world, some people are.
yeah,
Interestingly,
yeah,
we
I can
have
see
just
that.
had a new chatter to me, um, but Beowulf has been on Chat GPT whilst we've been talking. And Chat GPT, and this I'm frightened of very old in 2 ways. Firstly, we've been talking long enough that someone's been able to do this, which is hilarious. Secondly, ChatGPT has been able to understand this to the level of giving an answer, which terrifies me. But all of that is less important than the fact that I'm right, which I think we all secretly knew anyway. And ChatGPT agrees with me in that putting all the parameters we've talked about into it and talking about Blood Bowl, it predicts that Squigs and or Night Goblins will be the next team. So there you are. You heard it here first. It is not only me, it's not only my hot take and my prediction. And remember, I'm the one that made 4 different unique styles of Elves Country. But my hot take that we will be getting Squigs is backed by no other voice than ChatGPT. Therefore, it must be true. That is what is coming. And if not, if we just all believe it and say it enough, Games Workshop will smell the money and they will go out and they will make them for us. That's my hot take. We're getting Squigs. Anyone want to say anything else before we wave and say goodbye? Now, Sean, I know you've done podcasts with me before, but I love this bit. This is traditional on my show now because I'm incredibly lazy and it makes a very easy point to find in the edit. As we all say goodbye, we wave as we do so. Before we do so, I'll do my final Jerry Springer thought, which is usually a very long outro to the show. This time it isn't. This time it's very simple. The more things change, the more stay the same. If you're sat out there thinking, hooray, they've finally sorted out Blood Bowl and now I will rise to show my dominance of Blood Bowl, you won't. If you were shit at Blood Bowl, you'll stay shit at Blood Bowl. If you were good at Blood Bowl and you're prepared to put only a little bit of effort in, you'll find it loads of fun to work out what the new rule set's all about, and you'll still be good at Blood Bowl. The more things change, the more stays the shame. That was One World, One Blood Bowl number 69. Giggity. Let's wave and say goodbye. Thank you all for joining us.